He says there's no doubt that we will stop Ebola from spreading here. But based on what we're hearing, boots on the ground, the nurses saying and how they're being surveyed, how do you piece this together, Congressman?
Well, Ed, I'm a physician who has lived in West Africa where the Ebola virus was found, or where it's been an outbreak. I've also lived in the Congo where they've had many outbreaks of Ebola virus. And I think what's important here is for us to take a deep breath and step back and think a little bit about this, not let our hair get on fire. There has been one case in the United States discovered that came in. If we look at our preparedness for any kind of catastrophe in almost every hospital, we're not prepared for it. You can look at what you have when you have a chemical outbreak or you have a machine breakdown and you spill chemicals all over the place. You have thousands of people who are affected by it. All those issues are being dealt with by the CDC very thoughtfully. They are sending 10 people down to Texas to look at this case, and they're going to get it under control there. People in Texas don't have to run around and worry about the fact that there's going to be a major outbreak there. There won't be one because they're dealing with it. And the fact is that's what public health is all about. Many of my Congress colleagues think, you know, the sort of health department down at the local level is kind of a waste of time. But in fact, it protects us from tuberculosis and it protects us from all kinds of diseases. And what the CDC is doing is what their job has always been. So I'm not particularly worried about this. I think that there is a major problem in West Africa, where you're looking at Liberia. They have no infrastructure to do this, but we have an infrastructure that can deal with it. And one case is not enough to make the whole world come down on our head, which is the way people are acting on television today. The 24/7 news cycle is not helping.
Well, Congressman, we do not have a travel ban. And there are questions about how we're going to deal with people coming in from other countries to the United States, seeing how it unfolded down in Texas when not a whole lot went right. It was not a diagnosis and then a release of this patient. And that clearly deserves some questions of protocol, as the Nurses Association is bringing up. What should we do? Should there be some kind of travel screening or travel ban? And who would be responsible for that, and how would it work?
I don't think a travel ban per se is a very useful thing. I think it is useful to say to somebody, do you have a fever? We're going to take your temperature. If you say you have a fever and we take your temperature and you do, then you don't allow them to get on the plane to come to the United States. I mean, that might make some sense.
How about asking them if they've been to, how about if we were to ask them if they've been to, Liberia in the last 30 days, or if they've been in West Africa region within the last 30 days? I mean, this would be really paying attention to detail. Are we at that point?
No, we're not. And it wouldn't make sense. You'd stop thousands and thousands of people. Wouldn't make any sense at all, Ed. Look at all the people who go from Liberia to Nigeria, and then they go to Paris, and then they come to the United States. Now, if you ask them, have you been in Liberia? Well, yeah, I was there 6 months ago. Well, you been sick? Well, no. Well, then but you can't come into the United States because you've been in Liberia. I mean, you gotta think how you're going to work this out, and you cannot put travel bans unless you're going to just say to everybody who has had anything to do with Liberia, that's the end. You can't come. But I think that it's important for people to calm down. The president and the CDC, I have great respect for them. They are taking care of this issue. What we need to do is make sure that the Congress gives them enough money so they have enough people to do the case finding.
Well, that's another issue, that the CDC has been cut some $600 million.
Absolutely.
People are asking questions about, so that must be an issue to a certain extent. But 60% of the nurses, you agree that that is an issue at hand at this hour? Resources.
It is. And every hospital should try to deal with disasters, but you never know what the disaster is going to be. They might have a case of untreatable tuberculosis appear in Chicago tomorrow. Are they prepared to suddenly go out and
Okay.
Case found all over Chicago, who that person is. This is one case. You cannot make an epidemic out of one case. You can say there's an epidemic, a localized epidemic in Africa, but it's not here.
Congressman Jim McDermott, Doctor, good to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Coming up, Republican obstruction may have slowed the recovery, but things are looking better. We've hit the